The prison yard simmered under the midday sun, thick with sweat and despair. Inmates shuffled, guards watched, but today, their vigilance slipped. One man, blending in, moved with purpose toward a supply truck. The engine idled, keys left in the ignition. A mistake he'd counted on. He slipped into the cab, heart pounding, and quietly shut the door. Diesel filled his lungs, the scent of freedom. He turned the key. The engine roared. The main gate loomed ahead, closed, but not for long. Months of planning led to this moment. Imagine the terror and adrenaline, surrounded by concrete barbed wire and enemies about to attempt the impossible. He floored the gas, aiming the truck at the reinforced steel gate. Guards shouted, sirens wailed, but it was too late. The truck smashed through metal, screeching, the gate buckling. He was out, gone in seconds, leaving chaos behind. Who was this man who could vanish from a maximum security prison? This is the story of Mark DeFriest, the Houdini of Florida. If you want to know how he pulled off the impossible, keep watching. His escapes would become legend, but they started with a single, desperate act. The world would soon learn his name, but for now, he was just a shadow on the highway, free for the first time in years. The guards were left stunned, the prison in uproar. How did he get here? What drove him to risk everything? Mark's journey was just beginning. His story would challenge everything we think we know about crime punishment and the will to be free. Stay tuned for the secrets behind his legendary escapes. This was only the beginning. The man had vanished, but his legend was just starting to take shape. The prison would never forget this day, neither would Mark. The chase was on, and Mark DeFriest was just getting started. Subscribe for more on this incredible true story. You won't want to miss what comes next. Mark DeFriest wasn't a hardened criminal, he was a mechanical prodigy. Raised by a father who taught him sabotage and survival, Mark could dismantle anything. His crime? Retrieving his late father's tools before the will was settled. A stepmother called the police. Mark was arrested, charged with theft. The system saw his skills as a threat, not a gift. 4 years in prison for taking what was his. Inside, Mark didn't fit in. He saw locks as puzzles, walls as challenges. The prison tried to break him, but it only sharpened his resolve. Every infraction added years to his sentence. His intelligence was seen as arrogance, his explanations as manipulation. The system turned a quirky genius into a desperate escape artist. Mark's mind became his only hope. He studied every detail, every routine, every flaw. He wasn't planning to serve his time. He was planning to escape. His first attempt would test if his theories could become reality. Was freedom even possible for someone like him? Mark's first escape was pure psychological warfare. He studied the staff, learned their routines, and exploited a weakness. He dosed the staff's coffee with PCP, plunging the prison into chaos. Amid the confusion, he donned a makeshift guard's uniform. Walking with confidence, he slipped through the corridors unnoticed. The chaos was his camouflage. He reached the perimeter fence. Razor wire. Tall, but not impossible. Using his knowledge of mechanics, he climbed, navigating the wire with care. He dropped to the ground outside, free once more. The sirens faded as he ran into the woods. He'd outsmarted the system, but freedom was fleeting. Florida launched a massive manhunt. Mark was out, but now he was the most wanted man in the state. How long could he stay hidden? The legend of the Houdini of Florida had begun. Mark's freedom didn't last. He was caught and sent to a higher security prison. The guards trusted their pick-proof locks, but Mark saw opportunity. He memorized the master key's pattern from a few glances. With a scrap of wood and a sharpened metal shard, he carved a replica in secret. Every scrape risked discovery, but he persisted. The wooden key became a symbol of defiance. One night he tested it, heart-pounding. He slid it into the lock. A click. The door opened. He slipped out, opening other doors as he went. He was a ghost in the night, armed with nothing but ingenuity. But escape was only half the battle. The world outside was hostile, and every guard was on alert. Mark's mind had beaten the system again. But how long could he keep running? Each escape only made the hunt more intense. The stakes were higher than ever. Mark was recaptured and sent to the infamous X-Wing bear cell. No tools, constant surveillance. They stripped him of everything but couldn't take his creativity. He saw bedsheets and a paper gown as raw materials. Trading and bartering, he collected dozens of sheets. He braided them into a rope, hiding it in the ceiling. He fashioned a crude zip gun, a bluff but enough to scare a guard. One night he forced the cell open, retrieved his rope, and smashed a window. 4 stories up, he rappelled down the wall. At the fence, he used the rope to swing over razor wire. Once again he'd done the impossible, but the world outside was more dangerous than ever. Each escape added years to his sentence. Mark's ingenuity was unmatched, but freedom was always just out of reach. Could he succeed where he'd failed before? The legend grew, but so did the risks. The state was determined to stop him. Mark's sentence ballooned to over 100 years. He was public enemy number one, placed in the most secure environments. But Mark saw every system's flaw. During a prison bus transfer, shackled and surrounded by guards, he found his chance. He'd fashioned a tiny shim from scrap metal. Patiently he picked his cuffs, waiting for the perfect distraction. At a gas station stop, a guard stepped out. Mark sprang into action, somehow seizing a guard's pistol. The power dynamic flipped instantly. He ordered the door open and vanished into the town. It was his boldest escape yet, out of a moving bus, in shackles, surrounded by armed guards. But this time, the manhunt was relentless. He was cornered and recaptured after a tense standoff. Mark would not taste freedom again for a long time. 4 escapes had cemented his legacy. Was this the end of the Houdini of Florida? Was Mark DeFriest a criminal mastermind, a gambler, or just desperate? His escapes required genius, nerve, and a knack for finding flaws in any system. Luck played a role. One missed detail could have ended it all. Or was he simply a man pushed too far by a system that never understood him? His 4-year sentence became a life behind bars. Each escape was a protest, a cry for help, a testament to his will. In truth, Mark was all 3. Brilliant, lucky, and desperate. His story forces us to question our justice system and the fate of those who don't fit the mold. Mark DeFriest spent decades in prison, but his legend endures. The Houdini of Florida will never be forgotten.